Building a personal brand on social media is still on easy mode. And take it from me, over the past 4 years, aside from building my own personal brand to over 160,000 followers across platforms, I've also been the behind the scenes content director for many of your favorite creators and personal brands, and I've been responsible for billions of views and multiple millions of followers in that time frame. So trust me when I say, having seen all of the content trends over the past few years, right now is the current easiest time to grow a personal brand. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down exactly how you're going to be able to capitalize on that with the current content styles and splits that are working for top personal brands, and giving you a detailed breakdown of how to approach that content plan. Next, I'll be going into the current state of the personal branding space, showing you the exact visual examples of what top personal brands are currently doing on social media, the kinds of content that they're creating in order to nurture their audience, grow their audience, and ultimately monetize their audience as well. And finally, I'll be breaking down the current state of the algorithms of all the top social media platforms and showing you how your content plan approach should differ platform to platform, and where the current biggest opportunities lie for fast and quality personal brand growth. So if you want more of this kind of content, consider hitting subscribe, and let's get right into it. So over the past 4 years, I've noticed that the meta for content kind of changes every 6 to 7 months. A new style becomes prevalent, everybody jumps on that style, it eventually gets killed, it dies off, and then a new meta has to rise from the ashes of the old stuff, and those are the creators that are usually driving the fastest growth for themselves. Now, it used to be 1 to 2 years ago, you could get on camera and just talk straight value and you would get some decent growth. And I'm seeing so many people right now are just trying to do the strict, boring, talk to camera value videos, and they're not seeing the kind of growth that they want. And that's because they're trying to do their content plan based on an outdated method when that worked, but only doing that right now, talking direct to the camera with nothing else involved, is not going to get you growth on social media. And so the current split of content that's working has to be more entertaining focused and much more geared towards the lower attention spans that we're seeing and a lot of the new styles that are emerging on social media. Okay, so the current content split that I recommend people adapt into their content is the 40-40-20 split. So that's 40% education content, 40% dopamine content, 20% selling content. Okay, the educational content, obviously it enhances your authority in your niche, lets people know that you know what you're talking about. The dopamine hitting content, this is where people are messing up because they don't know that they need to include this content. And this is actually kind of a hard thing to give a name to, because if you call it entertaining or dopamine content, people get confused and think that I'm telling them they need to do a dance or a skit or something funny, but that's not true, right? There are ways to give educational content in a dopamine hitting way that gives people that entertainment value at the same time as actually giving them education. And I'm going to be showing you visual examples in the second part of this video so you know exactly how to execute on that and actually mix in a much more dopamine hitting aspect into your content. And of course, then the 20% selling content is what gets you paid. We don't want to make content if we're not getting money from this. And of course, a lot of people that want to grow an audience on social media, they want to be like an influencer and get millions of views and be like a TikTok star. I don't care about that. I don't want to be a TikTok star. None of my clients want to be a TikTok star. All me and my clients want to do is make content and get paid, right? We make content to get organic traffic for free, to build our personal brands, to funnel those people into some kind of paid program, a service, a course, whatever it may be. So I'm not interested in getting extreme fame, because that's quite easy to do actually if you really want to know. But to get known in a small niche with high paying customers and produce a quality personal brand, that is the difficult thing, and that is what I like to focus on, because you get paid way better and you don't have any of the negatives of being some kind of famous yet broke TikTok star. Okay, so that is the content split, 40-40-20. And I'm going to be showing you the exact kind of content styles that we need to be focusing on right now here, but I wanted to preface that with the content split so you understand exactly the kinds of content we need to be making. Okay, so this is the current state of the personal branding space, and we're about to jump into 5 or 6 different styles of content that are performing super well for top personal brands that are not only getting attention, getting views, getting growth, they're making a ton of money as well. And this will be a mix between some of my existing clients and some other creators that I enjoy their content of as well. So the first format that's working super well is organically edited talking videos. And one creator that does that really well is my client Cardinal Mason, okay? He has gotten so good at yapping on camera in an organic fashion. And you can see that a lot of his videos here, they're hitting 30K, 40K views. Some of them are creeping up to millions. We did one video in particular that got over 18 million views. But he really likes to focus as one of the key staples of his content as organic talking videos. Now, these videos don't need to go super viral in order to have the effect that you want, because the effect that you want from these videos is, one, so people can see that you know what you're talking about. Two, they can see your personality and let that shine through, and that builds loyalty and affinity when someone feels like they could be your friend. And thirdly, with the organic style, even though you plan these videos in advance, you don't just get on camera and just start saying random things, you have to plan it, right? But the organic editing style and the way it's just being, holding your phone in your hand whilst you're talking, it makes it feel like it's extremely organic and not trying too hard. And people like it when people can do things seemingly without much effort, okay? It's actually impressive, and it impresses people a lot more than your overproduced content, okay? So this is a really, really, really good style that you can currently implement into your content that's going to get you a lot of traction. And so the next creator that does really good organic talking content is Shelby Sapp. Now, she focuses on the female sales space, and she is one of the best at organic talking videos, because every single video she does, more or less, is in this extremely organic style. She doesn't do overly edited stuff. Her stuff is not high production. It's all shot on an iPhone, and it's all edited seemingly with the native Instagram fonts, right? Maybe they edited outside of Instagram, but it seems like it's been edited in the app. And again, it gives that organic style, makes it feel like you are creating the content there in the moment and posting at the same time. Maybe she does, maybe she banks it up, I don't know. But you can see these kind of videos, they get so much traction in the algorithm, 3 million views, 2.7 million views. And again, it shows the personality, it makes you like the person more, and you get to show off your lifestyle a lot more easily when you're just shooting with an iPhone and you don't have to bring a film crew around with you, okay? So Shelby's also implementing a lot of the other content styles that I'm about to talk about, but in terms of organic talking videos, she is one of the best at it. And if you can plan out your content to implement a lot of these kinds of talking videos, this is a really good pillar for your 40% education split, okay? Another person that does a really good job of combining education content with dopamine content is my client, Mike Colbert. And you can see that his videos have gone mega viral, 30 million views, 10 million views, 3 million views, and he has dozens more in the multiple millions of views range. And he does extremely well with combining educational with dopamine focused content. Let me just show you an example. So by dopamine, I mean that it engages the viewer, right? They get to see the content, they get to see the demonstration in front of them. There's something visually to look at. They don't just have to listen and watch your face talk, right? So Mike he said, what should you do if you fall in deep water and you have your clothes on? And he's now giving a visual demonstration of exactly what to do. And if you watch until the end of that video, you'll be able to see kind of the payoff and how that it's kind of a novel thing what he explains, how to turn your jeans into a life jacket, right? So it is educational. It teaches you what should you do if you fell into water and you can't swim, teaches you how to turn your jeans into a life jacket, right? But at the same time, it's also hitting those dopamine receptors. It's showing you something that you've probably never seen before. And in the beginning, there was a very visual moving element of him jumping into the pool, which immediately triggers the dopamine, okay? So this is what I mean when I say you have to combine your educational with your dopamine hitting factors. You can't just sit and talk about the value. You have to demonstrate it. You have to add some kind of moving visual element if you want your videos to hit up that much higher and tap into the current, low-hanging fruit that's existing on social media, okay? So, and Mike has dozens more of these kinds of videos that are in this style, jumping in. And it's a style that we've repeated across the months, and it's been working super well in terms of combining education with dopamine, okay? So the next type of content that works super well in terms of getting new people into your ecosystem while at the same time soft selling them are what I like to call 60-second VSLs. VSL is a video sales letter, and you're able to very subtly put those out on social media, and people will feel like they're watching a piece of content rather than a sales asset, okay? So let me show you exactly what I mean. One creator that does this really well is Ben Kelly, and he sells some kind of investment opportunity, but what a 60-second VSL is, it gives you the hook on screen. It has different B-roll assets, so the content does not need to be filmed fresh every time. And it tells a story. It takes you on a story arc from, there's an intriguing hook, maybe there's a problem that's existing, or it's telling you the background story on how this guy ended up in such a great position. And it takes people through a story arc on a journey. It gives them, an idea of the benefits of doing the thing that this guy teaches. It shows what kind of life and the opportunities and great things he's got as a result of that thing. And then on the last slide of the video, it will have a very subtle CTA to comment or DM a certain keyword in order to learn more about how this thing works. And the reason these are so powerful is, like I said before, they feel like they're watching a piece of content. They get quickly educated on the opportunity, on the thing that the guy is selling, while at the same time giving very visual changes in the content that keeps the dopamine engaged and keeps people watching the content until the very end of the video. This is a super powerful piece of content that you have to be implementing immediately. The next kind of content that's working in the personal branding space is humor content. And the reason we want to put out purely humorous content every few weeks is because it builds significantly more brand affinity. When you have, especially if it's a serious personal brand of someone that is trying to explain a very serious topic, if you can occasionally put out something that maybe makes fun of yourself or has, brings up an inside joke or just jumps on a certain trend that's happening at that moment, the people that watch your videos that normally think you might be a bit more serious are finally seeing that you have a funny side, you have a personality, and that builds a lot more likability with your brand and the viewer. So someone that has done that really well currently is Alex Hormozi. Whoever's on his content team occasionally gets him to jump on these kind of trends that are just working in that moment, right? Every few months, a new trend comes along, a new format comes along that starts to work really well. It might be a meme format or a visual format, but this one in particular is currently trending at the minute. See in December 27, 2024, sleep paralysis, but instead of a demon, it's just Alex Hormozi, right? And people were adapting that format to many different ways, right? So people see Alex as kind of a serious guy that, doesn't like to have fun or something like that, but obviously, he says that, work is his fun, which is fine. But this allows people to see a different side of him, a more humorous side of him that's not so serious, and people can tell that, this is, he has a personality and it's funny, and it builds significantly more brand affinity. And if you just, look through, and if you just look through the comments, you'll see people laughing, you'll see people, saying great things and basically liking the fact that he's doing this funny content, okay? The next style of content that needs to be addressed is lifestyle compilations, okay? And not just, some kind of cringe, over the top flexing or whatever that you see. You can do lifestyle compilations in very tasteful ways. And I really recommend that you take a lot of inspiration from these next two creators that I'm about to show you, because they have kind of set the bar for how visual content should look in today's day and age. And the first guy I want to show you is Daniel Dalen, and he has basically been able to combine educational / motivational content with a lot of dopamine hitting factors, and he achieves this primarily through his videography, right? So he is very active with recording B-roll shots. He just stacks them up and he reuses the same clips over and over and over again across dozens and dozens of videos, and it allows him to create so many pieces of content that are hitting the dopamine while at the same time educating and motivating people to take action on a certain topic, on a certain business model or whatever it may be, okay? So his content is extremely visually engaging. You can see that here he's giving some kind of advice, motivation, education, but you can see how visually engaging the content is by splicing in all of those other assets that he's obviously gone to great effort into having a videographer record himself. But if this was just a video of him talking, he's got a really loyal audience, so I'm sure it would get views, but it would not get as many views if he didn't splice in the other visual elements as well in order to activate the dopamine receptors and have a lot more happening in the video. So you can take a lot of inspiration from Daniel. Obviously, he's a great videographer, and that can be hard to kind of replicate that level of skill, but the principle is still the same. It's very easy to set up your phone, set up a camera, take some quick B-roll clips. It really doesn't have to be that difficult when you're doing it in your day-to-day life. And having that asset of content that you can add into your content is actually going to make your videos perform significantly better. Another creator that does this really well is Zach Kravitz. Now, he is fantastic at creating very visually stunning content, and he has defined his own style. Much like Daniel, he has defined his own style of content that if someone else copied him, then they would say, oh, that's Zach Kravitz style. That is his style that you are copying, right? So he has done a really good job in leveraging his videography skills, his creative skills, and building up this crazy big bank of content that he's able to leverage day after day over multiple videos and reuse this content in order to create more visually engaging videos. So he could have just sat on camera and explained, talked about all these things that he's talking about in his videos, but they would not get the same kind of engagement as he is when he is putting it in a different way, right? Doing a voiceover overlaid with text on top of his B-roll clips. This is a way to spin your educational, motivational content into a much more visually stimulating way, okay? And so those videos are the way that you can incorporate education and dopamine hitting factors together. And now for the 20% selling content, that is primarily done in your Instagram stories, okay? But you have to do it very subtly and very tastefully with as much care to the visuals as you put into your video content. If you throw up a very ugly looking, poorly attempted CTA, people are not going to resonate with that, and you're more likely to burn your audience in the long term. But if you look at people like Shelby, if you look at people like Cardinal Mason, the CTAs that they put on their story are actually very aesthetic. They use high quality photos, they put up a good piece of copy, a little caption, they build it up, especially Shelby, I've noticed, they build it up over the course of 3 to 4 slides before dropping the CTA to join, say, their webinar or to book a call or to jump in the DMs and get closed, essentially. And so you need to be selling. Your direct pitches will be on your Instagram story, but you have to do it very tastefully in order to not burn your audience and piss them off. But the other places you can do your selling are in the captions of your videos. You can do them in live streams. If you have a weekly live stream, you can have a verbal CTA to people. You can have CTAs in your inbox. If you've had a lot of people that are DMing you, you can put a note in your inbox that can drive DMs. You can have it in your bio. You can have it in the video itself towards the end or halfway through. You can say a CTA to DM you or comment a specific word. But these are all ways that you can sell on your social media profiles, okay? And it doesn't need to be done in a way that is aggressive or pushy or very overt. You can keep a lot of the soft CTAs and when you have a lot more of the soft CTAs, you can push out a lot more of them every single week without seeming like you're overly pushy for the sale, which can be done if you abuse the Instagram story CTA too much. The thing I want you to take away from this section is one of the biggest levers you can pull is by creating a big bank of social media B-roll. And you can do that just by taking your phone or taking a camera with you when you go somewhere interesting, you go to the gym, you go to the coffee shop, you're gonna do some work, and just setting up the phone and just recording you doing stuff. And you don't need to be doing anything particularly interesting. If you look at Daniel's videos, Daniel Dalen or Zach Kravitz, they're sitting on their laptop, they're sitting with friends, they're making the bed, they're making a coffee. There's all different kind of shots that you can get. And as long as it resonates with your brand, this is all you need to be doing. You don't need to be getting in a Lambo, you don't need to be buying a watch, you don't need to be in some luxury villa. As long as you're getting the simple day-to-day B-roll shots that you can use over and over again for your content, this is gonna keep your content fresh and a lot more visually stimulating. So the next thing I want to talk about is the insights into the algorithms currently, because as everybody knows, the algorithms are ever changing. They're constantly changing. We're seeing Elon tweeting almost on a weekly basis about things that are going to be getting updated in Twitter and changed. Well, I suppose it's called X now. Things that are getting changed over time. And so you need to stay on top of what is happening with the algorithms. And because algorithms are changing, this means that your content approach should vary by platform. It should vary very slightly. okay? So the first platform that I always like to recommend people focus on is Instagram, because Instagram with short form content is still king. It's king because it gives you the best growth, the most amount of sort of virality, while at the same time giving you high quality followers, okay? This is why it's still king, and we'll get into the other platforms and why they're not king, but some of them are still good with a lot of opportunities there that a lot of people are not taking advantage of. The factors that matter on Instagram the most are putting more effort into quality. So putting a lot more effort into your aesthetic shots if you're doing content like Daniel or like Zach, encouraging comment engagement. You'll notice that a lot of people are pushing people to comment a certain keyword and then using ManyChat to essentially drive engagement and send free lead magnets. You can collect email addresses, you can initiate setter flows to get people booked in for calls. But also the fact that you're encouraging more comments is getting your video pushed out to significantly more people in the algorithm. And the third factor that really matters on Instagram is collaboration posts with other creators. Instagram introduced a feature not that long ago where you can post a video with another creator and essentially do more than tagging them. It's not just that you're tagging them in the content, you're inviting them as a collaborator. So whenever they accept the collaboration request, the video is also posted onto their profile and gets exposure to their audience. So 2 profiles, 1 video, both of the audiences diverging on that 1 video, and people then will obviously click onto your profile and follow you and vice versa. So this is how big creators are basically cross-pollinating each other's audiences, and it's a super good way to grow your audience. And we've never had that possibility before outside of just tagging somebody. This is a new way to get a ton of new traction onto your content. Okay. For TikTok, it's still very much a huge factor for getting massive reach, but I've noticed across a lot of the clients that I've worked with and a lot of people that I've consulted, the quality of the follower is still very low for buying high ticket products and services. The things that sell on TikTok the best are consumer products, physical e-commerce products, and price points that are a little bit lower. It seems that people on TikTok are just not that interested in paying much more high ticket prices versus Instagram, where you can easily close 5,000, 10,000 and even more dollar deals from people coming in through Instagram, okay? So the factors that matter for TikTok are more dopamine content. If you really want to blow up on TikTok, you need much more dopamine focused content rather than education. You need extreme organic. So the organic posts that I showed you earlier, they perform even better on TikTok than they do on Instagram. On TikTok, people like to see extremely organic content as if you made it in the moment. You can use just an iPhone and do editing through the app to make it look extremely organic. And the last thing that matters on TikTok is implementing a lot more trends. Trends pop up on TikTok significantly more often than any other platform. And if you can implement them on TikTok really quickly, because they can die off within a week or 2, you will pick up significantly easier views than if you hadn't done them. The next platform is Facebook. A lot of people don't know that Facebook also has a Reels feature. Now, people still use Facebook, right? It depends what kind of demographic you're in, but Facebook has 2 kinds of people. They've got much older people that never really understood social media in the first place. They got on Facebook and they never left. And the second is there are much more sophisticated business owners on Facebook that are still very much active in a lot of Facebook groups. So if you can put out content that is going to resonate with a more sophisticated viewer on Facebook, you can actually build a very loyal and high quality following over on Facebook. And just remember, like I said, the demographic on Facebook skews older. So if you are putting out content that is going to resonate with much younger people, don't expect to get big on Facebook because it skews a lot older and they're probably not going to resonate with that kind of content. So Twitter, or X.com, has now shifted onto the For You page style algorithm ever since Elon took over. And this is good and bad for a couple different reasons, okay? It's good because now you can reach a much wider audience even if you're starting from zero, because if your content is good, there's a chance that it gets shared onto the For You page. However, it's not as powerful as TikTok or Instagram in terms of brand new creators getting extreme engagement virtually overnight, which, you know, in social media terms, overnight is within months, okay? Twitter is much harder to get a bigger audience on versus the short form video platforms. The things that work on Twitter right now are broad ranging topics, are the pieces of content that make it over to the For You page. And if you aren't really implementing a lot more broad stuff, you're just not gonna get that kind of easy growth that you're wanting to do. Now, a lot of people are sort of campaigning to Elon to try and change the algorithm to be more focused towards quality content over entertaining content, broad content, but that still has not happened. So we'll see how that plays out over the coming months, okay? In addition to the broad content, another kind of content that performs really well on X, not as viral as broad, but still can perform super well and attract buyers, are very detailed breakdown threads. If you can have a thread with a lot of visual breakdowns that actually explain a particular subject or topic in depth with a lot of visuality to it, these are the kind of threads that can perform super well for niche content. But for my money, the kind of effort that you put in to actually create that thread versus the return that you get back in terms of exposure, impressions, and growth, it's just not worth it for me personally. But if you are more of a written creator, then it could be a good way to go. For me, I like to focus on video. It's much more rewarding for me to put out video rather than written content, okay? And the last platform is LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is probably the slowest platform to adapt to the kind of the trends of the social media algorithms, because they are still using the old algorithm that Twitter was using for written posts, and they have not implemented a dedicated short form video or regular video approach, regular video feed, okay? With LinkedIn, the way to grow is by engaging with other people and getting them to engage with you. And by engagement, I mean liking your posts and commenting. The only real way to sort of algorithm hack LinkedIn is to join big engagement groups with creators that have large followings and pay for them to comment on your posts. As long as their followers are in your target demographic, then whenever they comment and whenever they like your stuff, then your post will be shown to their followers' feeds, and that is how you get exposure to brand new people. You can't just post content on LinkedIn and have it go viral like this. You have to be bringing in outside engagement in order to make that work. Now, if you can make LinkedIn work, it's very, very monetizable. The people on LinkedIn are very high quality, but it is for a very select kind of niche, a lot more professional business owners. That's good in terms of they have a lot of money, but they are not so savvy in the world of social media. And so your content needs to be a lot more professional and not tailored for a younger audience. It has to be adapted towards that older, more professional, serious niche. Okay, so condensed in a couple seconds. So what are the secrets to success? If you're taking anything away from this video, this is what you need to be focusing on in order to make personal branding on easy mode. You need to focus on perfecting your format. Creators like Daniel Dale and Zach Kravitz, they've blown up out of nowhere because they found a format that they can execute really well and really consistently. They stuck to it and they made it theirs. If you want to really stand out from everybody else, you have to come up with your own unique format. The next thing you need to be focusing on is building up that bank of social media B-roll clips so you can actually splice that into your educational content to make it more entertaining, more dopamine hitting, and that will improve your retention rates and ultimately your views and your follower growth as well. And finally, the main thing you need to be focusing on is the 40-40-20 split. 40% education, 40% dopamine, 20% sales content. If you only have educational content, you will struggle to grow, but if you can implement some of the dopamine hitting factors that I mentioned in this video, you will see a lot faster growth. So if you guys enjoyed that video, you want to get more personal branding content about how to grow on social media, how to monetize and make money from social media, consider subscribing, leave a comment, like the video. And if you want to work with me, just check out the description links or DM me on Instagram or Twitter, and we can have a conversation there. So for now, I'll see you in the next one.